The men's basketball team has had its struggles this year, and Zach Aaron is here to tell us if they could get back on the right track.
Well, Chris, this past weekend, the men's basketball team took their final regular season trip to Kentucky to take on their rival, the Asbury Eagles. The Pioneers got off to a quick start, leading by as much as 7 points with 5 minutes left in the first half, as the Eagles' shooting from beyond the arc started heating up at that point. The Eagles went into the locker room with a 37-32 lead. After halftime, the Eagles continued their dominance, and they led by as much as 23 points. The Pioneers ended up dropping this game by a score of 86-68. There was a bright side to the game, however, as sophomore TJ Lanier scored his career-high 23 points in the game. Gabe McNeil scored 15 points, leaving him only 22 points away from reaching 1,000 for his college career. Nick Brown had a double-double with 10 points and 11 rebounds. Austin Flannery led the Eagles with scoring with 24 points. A big storyline for the game was that two of the Pioneers' biggest weapons didn't even make the trip. Robbie Hetherington and Josh Polott were suspended for the game and did not make the trip for violation of team code. That put the two open starting positions in the hands of TJ Lanier and freshman Brandon Kamick. In Kamick's first game starting, he actually played all 40 minutes of the game. Corey Henning also got his first playing time of the season, having 7 minutes out on the court. He got his first points of his college career with a layup towards the end of the game. That puts the Pioneers at 10-15 overall and 5-10 in KIAC play. That makes these last two games absolute must-wins. The Pioneers will be playing Cincinnati Christian on Friday and IU East on Saturday. Two teams they lost to in their only other matches with them. The only way the Pioneers can secure a playoff spot is if they win at least one of these games. Right now, the 9th seed IU Kokomo is only a game and a half back of the 8th seed that is held by the Pioneers. They only have one game to play, and it is on Thursday against St. Louis College of Pharmacy. This race is going right down to the wire, Chris.
Zach, you look here, the Pioneers, they're really struggling to get into even the playoffs this year. We've seen them be in the playoffs the last few years. Zach, what do they need to do? I mean, we've seen they just have issues, and they're really not going away for them.
Yeah, I mean, this year has been a really rough year for the Pioneers. I mean, they've struggled with injuries, ineligibilities, and that's resulted in so much loss of depth on the bench. This weekend, they only had 8 players suit up. 7 of them played. All 5 starters. The starter with the least number of minutes was Nick Brown, I believe. He had 35 minutes. That's been going on for at least half the season. That's got to change. They're getting fatigued now, and now it's starting to really take its toll on the team, and they may not even make the playoffs for the first time in a while.
Zach, you mentioned really first time in a while they will have possibly not make the playoffs, and you see they're playing two teams that they could easily lose to, and IU Kokomo plays St. Louis College of Pharmacy, a team many teams in the KIAC have a very good chance of beating. The Pioneers might just fall out of the KIAC picture here.
Yeah, and it almost seems fitting that that's the way it happens, only because of how hectic this season's been on the team with all the ineligibilities and injuries that I just mentioned. And it's really a shame, but I'm sure Coach Rager, who usually does a good job of rebounding, he'll do a really good job of bringing the team back and preparing them for next year if they don't make it. But yeah, these 2 games coming up for them will be really tough. They lost to both teams in the past.
All right, thanks there, Zach. The boys this summer are coming back, and Kyle Anthony is here to preview the season with me.
Well, Chris, the Point Park University baseball team has yet to play a game this season. The Pioneers were supposed to play Virginia Intermont on February 15th and 16th in a 4-game series, but those dates were pushed back to the 16th and 17th because of the snow. And again, the game was changed because of the snow when they were only supposed to play a 2-game series on the 17th, but again, a weather cancellation. The Pioneers' first game then was pushed to be against NCAA California University of Pennsylvania, but that game was postponed due to snow as well. The Pioneers will do some traveling now, and their first game will be on the 21st and 22nd against Bryant, and then on the 23rd they'll take on Tennessee Wesleyan, number 8 ranked team in NAIA, and lastly they'll take on West Virginia Tech on the 24th.
Now, Kyle, you look here, you see the Pioneers really have not been able to play any games so far due to the weather. Do you really think that messes with them? Do you really think they just want to get out on that field and finally play and stop practicing?
I definitely think this team does because last year they're getting the field earlier than they did. Because last year their first games weren't till the tournament. When they went to Florida. This year they've got some earlier games and they're trying to get them. And they're going to play some top-ranked teams here before they head down to Florida. And I know the Cal U game got canceled. And the games this past weekend against Virginia Intermont got canceled. But this team's still going to play some good teams.
And that's one of the big things is always, Kyle, they always play tough competition. They always have some decent competition as well in the KIAC. How much do you think that will affect the Pioneers? They're going to have some tough opponents that can really push them before playoff time.
Well, Chris, I think it'll really help them going into KIAC play because at the top half of the KIAC, there's some very good teams. But towards the back half, there's not very much, and out of conference really helps their schedule. And they need to help their rankings because their conference isn't always going to help them.
All right, thanks, Kyle. After the break, Globe writer Zach Weiss will be stopping by to talk about his article and some of his interesting findings. Don't go anywhere.